Today we're going to be taking on the classic French dessert, profiteroles. These bad boys are like little clouds of pastry, filled with sweet creamy filling and smothered in velvety chocolate sauce. Now I know making pastry can seem daunting, but trust me, we're going to break it down step by step and make these treats at home no problem at all. So let's get started. There are just 3 components that you need to think about when it comes to making profiteroles, and the recipe is actually quite simple to make, but you do have to make sure you get these components right. First is the pastry, which is a choux pastry or pâte à choux, which starts by combining 230 grams of water with 115 grams of butter, as well as a pinch of salt in the saucepan over a medium heat. Once the butter has melted, you want to bring the mixture to the boil, but you'll want to remember you don't want any reduction or evaporation to occur, as this will affect the hydration of your dough, which will in turn affect the rise of the profiteroles. So at this point you add 115 grams of strong bread flour. We are using strong bread flour as it has a higher gluten content, which will give us a thicker and potentially crispier shell than if we used plain flour. Turn your heat to low and stir the flour in vigorously until a thick paste forms. Continue stirring the paste around the pan over the heat for a few minutes until the raw flour smell subsides and transforms into more of a freshly baked short crust pastry kind of smell. Now, off the heat, we need to add the eggs, and you can be as precise here as you'd like. I like to be precise, so I beat my eggs and weigh them out, as you should be using 225 grams of egg in total for this recipe, which, if you're not precise, works out to be between 4 and 5 large eggs. So you don't ruin the dough, you need to add the eggs bit by bit, about 1 egg's worth at a time. As you make each addition, quickly stir the dough around the pan. It will seem to almost split as you do this, but with enough vigour, you should be able to bring it back into one homogeneous lump. This stage can also be done in a stand mixer or a food processor, still adding 1 egg at a time between mixing, but I thought I'd do it the old-fashioned way and show you don't need any particularly fancy equipment for this recipe. Once all of the egg has been added and your dough has come together, it is time to check the consistency, which is key to your choux pastry puffing and rising well. To do this, there is the V test, where you just need to allow the dough to fall off your spoon, and it should leave a V shape drooping down off the spoon. If it doesn't fall off the spoon easily, then you need to add a touch more egg to your dough and mix again until you successfully pass the V test. Now you have the perfect consistency to your dough, you can put it into a piping bag, preferably fitted with a round nozzle. We're nearly ready for baking, so preheat your oven to 200 degrees Celsius and grab a baking tray. You can use either greaseproof paper here, or as I'm doing, grease up your baking tray and dust lightly with flour. Using a round cookie cutter, mark circles in the flour to give yourself a guide for where you're piping out the choux pastry. Grab the piping bag and while holding the nozzle close to the tray, start to squeeze and fill up the circle guide that you have made and slowly pull away at the same time, stopping once the circle is full. I managed to get 12 large profiteroles out of this recipe, but you could easily half the size and get around 24 if you wanted to. Continue until you've finished all of your dough. With a finger that you've dipped into water, just press down any peaks in your dough. This will prevent them from burning and you'll end up with a more rounded, finished product. Pop them in the oven for about 20 minutes or until golden brown, turning halfway through if your oven cooks unevenly. Pull them out and pierce the bottom of each bun with a knife to allow some of the internal steam to escape and put them back in the oven at around 160 degrees Celsius for another 5 minutes. Get them out of the oven, place on a wire rack and allow to cool. For the filling, traditionally, a vanilla bean pastry cream would be used to fill a profiterole, or even ice cream if you're American. But I've grown up eating cream-filled profiteroles here in Britain, so that's what I'm going to replicate. Let me know in the comments which filling will be going in your profiteroles. For mine, simply whip 500 ml of double cream until they reach soft peaks. Again, this would have been a lot easier and faster using a KitchenAid, but a little whisking never hurt anyone. Once you've hit soft peaks, add 70 grams of icing sugar and 10 grams or 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Whisk a little more to combine and bring your cream to stiff peaks. Be careful not to overwhip your cream here, it is very easy to and it will turn your filling a touch grainy. Add your chantilly cream to a piping bag with a round nozzle fitted, fill your profiteroles with cream and set them aside. For the chocolate sauce, or glaze for these profiteroles, you need to find the perfect consistency. Place a medium-sized saucepan with a couple centimetres of water in it over a medium heat. Place a glass bowl on top of the saucepan, but make sure the water doesn't touch the bottom of this bowl. This is called a bain-marie and is used to gently melt the chocolate. Add 200 grams of 70% good quality dark chocolate to the glass bowl. If you break it up a little bit, it will help it melt faster. Add 30 grams of butter and 3 tablespoons of clear honey and leave it to melt together, stirring every now and then just to help it along. After it is all melted together, add 125 milliliters of whole milk and stir until fully combined. Set aside to cool slightly. If it is too hot, then it will be too runny to coat the profiteroles nicely. Set up a workstation with the profiteroles on one side, the chocolate sauce in the middle, and a wire rack over a baking tray on the other side. You will flip the profiteroles upside down and dunk them halfway into the chocolate and twist as you pull them out, giving you a perfectly glazed profiterole. Do this with the remaining profiteroles and leave at room temperature to cool and set up completely. These are absolutely a household favourite, and requests have already been made to make them again. Store them in the fridge for up to 3 days, or you can freeze the shells without any of the cream or chocolate in if you're trying to get ahead. If you enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button as it really helps me out, and consider subscribing to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.